A human, two hearts, and the galaxy watched them decide a human, two hearts. And the galaxy watched them decide the human lay on the metal table, breathing shallowly, staring at the bright lights above. Around them, voices spoke in a language they did not understand, voices of aliens who had saved their life and changed it forever. Only hours before, the human had been on a routine mission to a distant planet, a mission that was supposed to test humanity's ability to survive. Beyond the edge of the galaxy, nothing had gone as planned. A sudden attack by an unknown creature had nearly ended everything. Humanity thought the human was dead, but somehow they survived, and now they were different. Their chest felt strange, a constant rhythm they had never known. They realized with confusion that they had two hearts beating inside them. One was familiar, steady and human, and the other was faster, stronger, almost alien. Doctors, if they could even be called that, moved around with instruments and strange devices, watching the human closely. Their voices were calm, but the human sensed curiosity and fear. They had become something new, something rare, and the galaxy itself would soon take notice. The human tried to sit up, but the stronger heart throbbed violently, forcing them back. A soft light pulsed from the strange instruments, and the room seemed to hum. The human felt a connection with the world outside in a way they could not explain. Far away, in the blackness between stars, signals shifted as if reacting to them. The human could not know that their body, changed by the alien procedure, was now linked to something ancient and powerful, something that had been waiting for a species like humanity. Two beats inside one chest, two rhythms pulling at one mind, two possibilities for the future. And the human had to survive to make sense of it. A small figure appeared at the edge of the room, a calm alien with green eyes that seemed to see everything. The alien introduced themselves in broken human speech and said that the human had been chosen, though neither of them fully understood what it meant yet. The human did not feel chosen. They felt scared and alone. Every instinct in their human heart screamed to run, but the second heart, faster and alien, seemed to whisper something else. A call to stay and see what would happen. The human's mind spun with questions. Why were they alive? What did the second heart mean? And who had sent the strange signals now pulsing faintly in the depths of space? The alien remained silent, watching, waiting, letting the human struggle with the questions themselves. Outside the room, monitors showed activity across the galaxy. Humans and other systems talked quietly, unsure what to make of the news. A human with two hearts was more than a miracle. Some feared it, some wanted it studied, and some already planned how to use it. Two factions, both powerful, both watching, both waiting. One faction believed the second heart made the human a weapon. The other believed it made them something more, something capable of bridging worlds. Both factions sent observers, disguised as diplomats or scientists, blending in with alien crews, always watching the human. And the human, unaware of these eyes, focused only on the pain and the strange rhythm in their chest. The human remembered the attack that almost killed them. The alien creature that had nearly torn them apart had been like nothing seen before. Its claws, its eyes, the way it moved, all alien, yet strangely intelligent. And then the procedure that saved them, performed by the green-eyed alien, had been dangerous. No one had known if the human would survive. But now, after hours of recovery, the human knew they had survived something impossible. And yet, survival was not comfort. Survival was responsibility. With two hearts, the human felt the weight of something larger than themselves. Every breath, every pulse, seemed connected to events far beyond any one planet or star. The alien who had saved them finally spoke again, explaining what little they could in broken human language. The procedure had added a second heart, yes, but it had also linked the human to an ancient network of technology scattered across the galaxy. This network, the alien said, had been designed to awaken only when a species reached a certain point of understanding and endurance. The human had reached it by accident. The human could feel the truth of this in their chest. The second heart was not just a beat of blood. It was a key. And now, the galaxy would notice. The human could not imagine what that meant, but they knew it would change everything. Their life was no longer only their own. Hours passed. The human was allowed to sit up, though their chest ached with the two rhythms. They tried to speak, asking about the alien factions, about the networks, about the creature that had nearly killed them. The alien only shook their head. Some things, they said, could not be explained yet. They needed to observe first. The human felt frustration and fear, but also a strange sense of purpose. Somewhere in the black reaches of space, something ancient waited. And the human, with two hearts now beating together in tension and harmony, was part of it. They could not know how, but the second heart seemed to hum in understanding, as if guiding them toward a path they had not yet chosen. Later, the human was moved to a larger observation chamber. Aliens of many species came and went, studying, measuring, recording. The human saw other humans in the crowd, some in awe, some in fear, and some whispering quietly to each other. All eyes, all attention, and all judgment focused on them. They realized with a strange clarity that their existence was no longer private. The human was a symbol, a message, a potential weapon, and a possible bridge between civilizations. The weight of it made their human heart pound fast, while the alien heart calmed them in a rhythm that felt like a whisper from the universe. The human had survived death, had become something new, and had no choice but to face what came next. The human tried to understand the signals. The second heart seemed to respond, beating faster when the chamber doors opened, slower when the hum of distant ships filled the air. The alien explained that the second heart was sensitive to energy patterns across the galaxy, patterns created by systems no living species had fully explored. The human could feel it even now, as if something far away beyond light years called to them. They did not know whether it was danger or guidance, only that it demanded attention, and the factions watching would do anything to control it. Every heartbeat felt like a countdown to a choice they had not yet made. Night came on the station, though the human did not feel the difference. Sleep was difficult. Every pulse, every signal, every distant flicker of energy kept them awake. Their thoughts spun in circles. Could they survive? Could they be trusted? Could they understand what had been awakened in them? And in the quiet, they felt it again. The second heart pulling them toward something neither human nor fully alien. Something older than any star they had ever seen. The human realized that surviving the creature on that distant planet was only the beginning. Now, survival meant understanding what they had become and what the galaxy might demand of them. The next morning, the human was told that transport ships would arrive soon. They were to be moved to a larger station, closer to the ancient systems that the second heart reacted to. The human felt fear, but also a strange curiosity. For the first time, they understood that their life had a purpose they could not yet see, and that purpose might change the galaxy forever. As the human was led down the corridor, hearts beating in unison and tension, the monitors outside showed the silent, watchful eyes of many civilizations. Every species with knowledge of the human waited, some to protect, some to control, and some to destroy. The human did not know which was which. They only knew that every choice, every step, every heartbeat would be observed. The galaxy was watching, and the human had become the story that every civilization wanted to read. The transport bay was crowded with diplomats, soldiers, and scientists from several species. The human walked slowly, every step heavy with the knowledge of what they had survived and what they might now face. The alien who had saved them stayed nearby, speaking softly, encouraging them to trust the second heart, to feel its rhythm, to listen. The human did so, finding a strange harmony between the two hearts. They felt alive in a way that was both terrifying and exhilarating. Survival had given them power. Two hearts had given them choice, and the choice would be watched by every eye in the galaxy. As the ship lifted from the station, the human looked through the viewport into the stars. Signals flickered faintly, moving through the blackness as if reacting to their presence. One day they realized they might understand what these signals meant, but for now, they only knew that life had become something larger, something that demanded courage, something that demanded patience, and most of all, something that demanded survival. The human with two hearts was no longer just one person. They were a living key, a symbol, and a question the galaxy had yet to answer. And as the stars passed by, distant and silent, the human felt the first true beat of anticipation in both hearts. The galaxy was watching, and it would not blink until they decided what to do next. The human sat alone in the observation room of the massive station, two hearts beating in careful harmony, yet each pulling in a different direction. Outside the tall curved windows, stars stretched across space like silver threads. The alien who had saved them remained nearby, silent but watchful. For hours, the human tried to make sense of the strange signals their second heart seemed to feel. It was a faint pulse, almost a whisper, coming from far beyond the known systems. The human could not see it, could not measure it, but the second heart responded as if it recognized something alive and ancient. The alien explained that the network across the galaxy reacted only to beings capable of holding two instincts at once: self-preservation and empathy. The human, unknowingly, had become one of those beings. Fleets and diplomats arrived, each representing different species, each watching the human with a mixture of awe, fear, and calculation. The human realized that they had become the focus of something far bigger than a single mission or a single survival story. Their life was no longer their own. Every word, every breath, every heartbeat would be observed and analyzed. Some humans in the crowd whispered fearfully about what this meant, while others talked about opportunity. The human had to find a way to understand their own new existence before the galaxy tried to define it for them. Their two hearts beat in an unsteady rhythm, one heart echoing fear, the other echoing a strange, growing confidence. The alien strategist introduced a new figure, a human fleet officer named Rian. Rian had seen battles across systems and had little patience for politics. He did not trust the Council or the alien factions. To him, the human was both a miracle and a risk. He approached carefully, observing the second heart's faint pulse through sensors.
"You're different," Rian said quietly, almost to himself. "I've never seen anything like it."
"It's dangerous and powerful." The human listened, feeling both curiosity and wariness. They did not yet understand their own power, and Rian's words were a reminder that the galaxy could not be ignored. Survival had taught them caution, and the second heart was teaching them something more: connection. Days passed, each bringing more observers and more questions. Scientists ran scans, diplomats asked for explanations, and the alien factions whispered in the corridors. One group wanted to study the second heart to use it as a weapon. Another group wanted to learn from it, to create peace between species. And the human realized that each heartbeat could tip the balance. The second heart seemed to respond to these intentions, beating faster when someone approached with aggression, slower when approached with kindness. It was as if the heart could sense motives. The human felt a strange responsibility. Their existence had become a living measure of morality, of the way beings acted across the stars. The pressure was immense, but it was only the beginning. Then the first signal arrived. It came through the station's deep space monitors, a flicker of energy unlike anything recorded before. The second heart pulsed violently, faster than the first could follow. The human's skin felt warm, and a strange vibration traveled through their chest. The alien beside them spoke urgently, explaining that the signal was coming from a hidden system, far beyond normal routes, a place untouched for centuries. No living being had been there, and yet the second heart reacted as if it had known the place all along. The human's mind raced. What was waiting there? Was it danger, or was it a message from a time long before humans existed? The alien strategist said only one thing: the human would have to decide if they would go, and if they did, the galaxy would watch everything that followed. Rian remained close. He could see that the human's human heart pulsed with fear, while the alien heart pulled them forward with cautious curiosity. "If you go," Rian said, "you will change everything." No one can predict what happens next, but staying may not keep you safe either. The human realized he was right. Their existence had already become a symbol, and no station, no council, could hide them from the galaxy. They were connected to something old and powerful, something that would demand action. And the more they thought about the hidden system, the more they felt that one heart alone could not guide them. Both hearts had to work together. The pulse from the second heart became a compass, a rhythm that pointed them toward the unknown. Negotiations among the factions grew tense. The human listened as alien ambassadors spoke in careful tones, each seeking control, each offering promises, each hiding threats. One faction wanted to remove the human from the galaxy entirely, fearing the second heart could be the key to domination. Another wanted to elevate the human to a leader for all species, believing they could unite worlds through empathy and understanding. The human could not choose for them yet. They could only listen, feel, and watch. Every argument, every threat, every promise tugged at the hearts inside them, creating a tension that was nearly unbearable. They realized that their survival had been only the first challenge. Now, living with the responsibility of two hearts was the real test. That night, when the station quieted, the humans stood at the edge of the observation deck. They watched distant stars and tried to listen to the pulse of the second heart. It was strong now, more insistent than ever. They realized the network was not passive. It was alive in some sense, and it was calling them forward. Every instinct they had, every training they had received told them to hesitate, to be careful, to retreat. But the second heart whispered otherwise. It said that waiting too long would allow others to decide for them. The human understood for the first time that their survival had been the beginning of a new kind of life, one where inaction could be as dangerous as failure. The alien strategist explained that the hidden system the signal came from had been built by a species that no longer existed. Its purpose was unknown, and its design was meant to be compatible only with beings who could maintain two instincts at once: protection and compassion. The human's human heart was cautious and self-preserving. The second heart was capable of empathy and connection. Together they formed the only combination that could interact with the ancient system safely. And now the system was calling, waiting, testing. The human felt both awe and fear. They had survived death once, but this was something beyond survival. This was destiny. The human was given a choice: remain on the station, studied and watched, or move forward into the unknown, guided by signals only their second heart could sense. They felt the weight of the galaxy pressing down, knowing that every move would be observed, analyzed, and judged. Allies and enemies alike were watching. The human's chest ached with the tension of two hearts pulling in different directions. The first heart said, "Stay safe." The second heart said, "Move forward." The human realized that the only way to understand themselves and the galaxy was to follow the second heart, even if it meant leaving the familiar behind. Preparations began for the journey. Ships were readied, maps drawn from incomplete charts, sensors calibrated to the faint signals. The human trained their body, feeling both hearts synchronize, trying to anticipate what might happen in uncharted space. Rian watched closely, offering advice when needed but never interfering. The alien strategist spoke rarely, only enough to guide the human in controlling the second heart. The human began to understand that controlling the second heart was not about stopping it, but about listening, following, and trusting. The rhythm became a guide, a code, a way to sense danger and opportunity. And as the stars passed by in preparation for departure, the human felt a strange exhilaration. They were alive, changed, and about to step into something the galaxy had never seen before. The moment of departure arrived. The human stood on the deck as the transport ship powered up, engines humming in a low, steady tone. Both hearts beat in unison now. Fear and curiosity combined into a steady rhythm. The alien factions had made their demands, diplomats had whispered, and the fleet officer had given their cautious blessing. The human understood that the journey would not be safe, but survival had taught them that courage was not the absence of fear. It was the willingness to move forward despite fear. And so they stepped onto the ship, feeling both hearts pull them in the same direction, toward the hidden system, toward the signal that called across the galaxy, and toward a future that could not yet be imagined. The stars were watching, the signals pulsed, and the human, with two hearts now in harmony, became a living bridge between the past, the present, and whatever awaited in the depths of space. The ship moved through deep space, far from known routes, guided only by weak signals that most sensors could barely detect. Inside the ship, the humans sat in a quiet chamber, eyes closed, listening to the rhythm inside their chest. Both hearts were active now, but they did not beat the same way. One followed the familiar pattern of fear, caution, and survival. The other followed the signal, steady and confident, as if it already knew where the ship was going. The human had learned to breathe with both rhythms, letting neither dominate. Outside, stars grew thinner, darker, and more distant. The galaxy felt larger here, older, and far less welcoming. The crew stayed tense. Many of them had never traveled this far from mapped space. Conversations were short and careful. Every strange reading from the sensors caused quiet worry. The human could feel it even without words. The second heart reacted to shifts in energy long before alarms sounded. At times it beat faster, warning of unstable space. At other times it slowed, calming the human when nothing dangerous was near. Slowly, the crew began to trust the human's instincts more than the machines. This unsettled them, but it also kept them alive. Rian visited the human often during the journey. He did not speak much, but he watched carefully, noticing how the human reacted before events occurred. One time, the human asked him if he believed the journey was a mistake.
Rian answered honestly.
He said that all important moments in history looked like mistakes at first. What mattered was who survived them. The human understood. Survival had brought them here, but understanding would decide what came next. The second heart pulsed softly, almost approving. As the ship crossed into a strange region of space, lights appeared ahead, not stars, but structures. Ancient and silent, they drifted like broken moons, arranged in careful patterns. The crew stared in awe. These structures were older than any known civilization, untouched by time. The second heart reacted strongly now, beating with purpose. The human felt a pull so strong it was almost painful. This was the place the signal came from. This was the hidden system. The ship slowed, as if space itself resisted their movement. The alien strategist explained that no records existed of this place. It had been erased from history, hidden deliberately. The structures did not attack, did not move, but they were active. Energy flowed between them like quiet rivers. The human felt watched, not by eyes, but by systems older than memory. The human heart raced with fear. The second heart remained calm, steady, as if reassuring them that they belonged here. The contrast was unsettling, but grounding. Together, the two hearts kept the human balanced. The ship docked near the largest structure. No weapons activated. No defenses rose. It was as if the structure had already decided they were not a threat. As the human stepped onto the ancient surface, the second heart pulsed in a new rhythm. The ground beneath their feet responded, lights forming slow patterns. The structure recognized them. The crew followed at a distance, uncertain and uneasy. The air felt heavy, charged with old power. The human felt small and important at the same time. Inside the structure, walls shifted smoothly, opening paths without sound. Symbols glowed faintly, responding to the human's presence. The second heart seemed to guide their steps, pulling gently left or right. The human realized they were not controlling this. They were being guided. The structure was reading them, testing them. Just as they were observing it, the human heart felt exposed, vulnerable. The second heart accepted it calmly. At the center of the structure, they found a vast chamber. In its core floated a sphere of light, surrounded by slowly rotating rings of metal and energy. The moment the human stepped closer, the sphere brightened. Images flooded the chamber. Civilizations rose and fell. Species conquered others and were destroyed in return. Worlds burned because power had been chosen over balance. The human staggered, overwhelmed. The second heart beat stronger, anchoring them. The structure was showing history, not as stories, but as warnings. The human understood then. This place was not built to rule the galaxy. It was built to judge it. The ancient builders had searched for a species that could survive strength without losing compassion. They had failed. Every species before had chosen control when given power. That was why the builders vanished. They destroyed themselves rather than let imbalance spread further. The human felt sorrow, fear, and a deep sense of responsibility. Two hearts were not a gift. They were a test. Suddenly alarms sounded on the ship. Unknown vessels appeared at the edge of the system. One of the watching factions had followed them. The crew panicked. Weapons powered up. Ryan called out, demanding orders. The human felt both hearts react at once. Fear surged, but so did clarity. The structure responded, its lights shifting, its energy focusing around the human. It was waiting for a decision. Fight or hold back. Protect or dominate. The human stepped forward, raising a hand without fully understanding why. The structure reacted, sending out a wave of energy that disabled all weapons in the system, both friendly and hostile. Silence followed. The hostile ships froze, powerless. The crew stared in shock. The human felt drained, but steady. The second heart slowed, satisfied. The structure had responded to restraint, not aggression. The message was clear. The hostile faction tried to communicate, demanding control of the structure. The human listened but did not respond immediately. They were learning. Power did not require force. Balance required patience. The human realized the galaxy would test them again and again. This moment was only the beginning. The structure dimmed slightly, as if acknowledging the lesson had been accepted, but not completed. Later, as the crew regrouped, the alien strategist explained that the structure had bonded with the human. It would respond only to them now. This terrified and relieved the crew at the same time. The human felt the weight settle deeper into their chest. Two hearts, one decision-maker, and a galaxy full of fear and hope. The human did not feel ready, but readiness had never been required for survival. As the ship prepared to leave the ancient system, the human looked back at the silent structures. They no longer felt like ruins. They felt like witnesses. The second heart pulsed softly, a reminder that the test was ongoing. The galaxy would not wait. Factions would return. Pressure would grow. And the human would have to choose again and again, each time watched by stars older than memory. The journey back would not bring peace. It would bring consequences. And the human, with two hearts beating in careful balance, knew that the hardest decisions were still ahead. The return journey from the hidden system was quiet, but the silence felt heavy. The human stood near the viewport, watching the ancient structures fade into darkness. Both hearts beat steadily now, but not calmly. One carried the weight of fear and doubt. The other carried awareness, a sense of being connected to something vast and patient. The crew spoke in low voices, careful not to disturb the balance that seemed to surround the human. Everyone understood that what had happened could not be undone. The ancient system had responded, weapons had failed, and the galaxy would soon know. As the ship crossed back into known space, messages began to arrive. First came questions, then demands, then threats, hidden behind polite words, councils argued. Fleets shifted positions, borders grew tense. The human could feel it before hearing it. The second heart reacted to the rising pressure, beating faster whenever conflict grew closer. It was like listening to the galaxy breathe, shallow and afraid. The human realized that restraint in the ancient system had not brought peace. It had exposed fear. And fear, left alone, often turned into violence. Rian approached the human with reports from multiple systems. Skirmishes had already begun. Ships claimed they were defending themselves, but the truth was clear. Everyone wanted control. Some wanted the ancient system destroyed so no one could use it. Others wanted the human placed under permanent guard, isolated and studied. A few wanted the human eliminated entirely. Rian did not hide his anger. He said the galaxy talked about balance, but prepared for war. The human listened, feeling both hearts respond in opposite ways. One urged protection. The other urged understanding. When they arrived at the central station, the tension was visible. Security forces filled corridors. Aliens of many species gathered in crowded halls, their eyes fixed on the human. Some looked hopeful. Others looked afraid. The human felt exposed more than ever before. Their survival had turned into responsibility and now into danger. The second heart pulsed strongly, warning of unstable intentions nearby. The humans slowed their steps, breathing carefully, keeping both hearts in rhythm.
A council meeting was called immediately. The humans stood at the center of a vast chamber, surrounded by representatives from across the galaxy.
Voices rose and fell. Arguments clashed. Accusations flew. Some demanded that the human reveal how the ancient system worked. Others demanded that the system be sealed forever. A few demanded that humanity surrender the human for the sake of peace. The human did not speak at first. They listened, watching how fear shaped words, how power hid behind logic. The second heart beat slowly, urging patience. Suddenly alarms sounded. Reports came in of a large fleet moving toward the ancient system. One faction had decided not to wait. They believed that if they could not control the system, no one should. Panic spread through the chamber. The human felt both hearts react sharply. Fear surged, but so did clarity. The ancient system was not just a place. It was a test still in progress. Destroying it would repeat the failures of the past. The human realized that waiting for agreement would cost everything. Without asking permission, the humans stepped forward. Their voice was calm but firm. They said the ancient system could not be destroyed by force without consequences. The galaxy could not survive. They said power taken through fear would only lead to collapse. Many dismissed the words as idealism. Others hesitated, remembering the moment when all weapons had failed. The second heart pulsed harder, as if urging action beyond speech. The human made a decision that surprised everyone. Instead of asking for protection or authority, they requested a single ship and permission to return to the ancient system alone. Gasps filled the chamber. Rian objected strongly, saying it was suicide. The human replied that balance could not be proven through force or control. It had to be shown through trust.
The council argued, but time was short. The attacking fleet was already moving.
Reluctantly, permission was granted. Not because they believed, but because they feared the alternative. The ship launched quickly. Alone this time, no escorts, no weapons powered. The human felt the weight of isolation settle in. Both hearts beat fast at first, then slowly found balance. The second heart guided them through unstable space, correcting course when sensors lagged. The human felt exhaustion, but also determination. This was no longer about survival alone. It was about preventing history from repeating itself. As the ship neared the ancient system, the hostile fleet came into view. Massive ships blocked the path, weapons charged. Commands flooded the human's console, orders to turn back. The human ignored them. Instead, they opened all channels and spoke simply. They said the system was not a weapon and not a prize. It was a mirror. It would show the galaxy exactly what it was. The fleet commander responded with threats, accusing the human of manipulation. The second heart pulsed sharply, sensing anger and fear intertwined. The human moved forward anyway. Weapons fired warning shots that passed close but did not hit. The ancient structures awakened as before, lights forming patterns across the dark. The human felt a deep connection now, stronger than ever. They understood the system was not bound to them alone. It responded to intention. The human reached out, not to control, but to invite. Energy spread outward, not disabling weapons this time, but revealing something far more dangerous. Across the galaxy, hidden data surfaced. Secret weapons, false histories, manipulated wars. Truth poured out without discrimination. The attacking fleet hesitated as their own lies were exposed. Allies questioned commanders. Citizens demanded answers. Chaos spread not through violence, but through knowledge. The human felt pain as both hearts strained. This was not easy. Balance came with cost. The fleet withdrew, not defeated by force, but broken by truth. The ancient system dimmed again, its purpose fulfilled for now. The human collapsed into the pilot seat, exhausted. Both hearts slowed, finding harmony once more. They had not chosen domination or destruction. They had chosen exposure. The galaxy would have to face itself. When the human returned to the station, the reaction was mixed. Some called them a hero, others called them a threat. But no one could deny what had happened. Wars paused. Councils reformed. Trust was broken, but rebuilding began. The human felt no pride, only responsibility. They understood now that every decision would carry weight. Alone in their quarters, the human placed a hand over their chest. Two hearts beat together, no longer in conflict, but in dialogue. Survival had brought them this far. Balance would take them further. The galaxy had held its breath, and now it waited again. The human knew the test was not over. It never would be. But for the first time, they believed the galaxy might learn if someone was willing to stand between fear and power and choose restraint again and again. The human felt the weight of the galaxy pressing on them as they returned from the ancient system. Both hearts pulsed steadily, but the pressure inside the station had only grown. Factions and fleets had been shaken by the truths revealed. Some ships had turned home while others waited silently, unsure if the human's actions were a threat or a promise. The human walked through the corridors, sensing fear, hope, and uncertainty in equal measure. Every glance from an alien, every whisper from a human, was now a measurement, a test of trust. The second heart pulsed stronger than ever, guiding their movements and reactions, while the human heart remained cautious, weighing danger against choice. Reports came quickly. Hidden fleets had been discovered, weapons caches revealed, secret manipulations exposed. The human realized that their presence was no longer just symbolic. They had become a living catalyst, capable of forcing entire civilizations to face their own truths. The council demanded an explanation. Factions accused each other. Humans debated whether the human should be controlled or left free. The human felt tension rise, not in space, but in the hearts of everyone around them. Both of their hearts beat faster, one sensing the fear of others, the other calling for calm and patience. Rian remained by their side. He had fought wars across systems, but now admitted he had never seen power like this. He watched the human as they walked through the halls, interacting with leaders and scientists alike. The human did not claim authority. They did not command obedience. They simply listened, observed, and responded with caution and empathy. Both hearts worked together, creating a rhythm that drew people in, forced them to pause, and made them reconsider their choices. The human realized that control was not needed. Influence came naturally when balance was maintained. Then came the threat. A species long hidden beyond known space had watched the human's journey, waiting. They had survived for centuries by manipulating others from the shadows, remaining unseen until now. Intelligence reports identified fleets and advanced weapons under construction. The human felt the second heart pulse with warning, sensing danger far before instruments could detect it. The human knew that these beings would stop at nothing to maintain their secrecy. They were prepared for deception, sabotage, and destruction. The human heart felt fear, while the second heart held focus and clarity. Together, they knew what had to be done. The human convened a private council with Rian and the alien strategist. They studied the movements of the hidden fleets and examined weaknesses. They realized the enemy was organized, but their strength depended on others remaining unaware of them. If exposed, their advantage disappeared. The human suggested revealing everything: locations, weapons, secret histories. Rian argued this could trigger panic or war. The strategist remained silent, letting the human speak. The human said only that balance required exposure, not domination. Fear must be replaced with awareness. Both hearts beat in deliberate harmony, guiding the human's judgment and resolving tension in the room. Plans were made. Ships were dispatched to vulnerable fleets and caches. Information spread quietly but thoroughly. Allies and neutrals learned the truth. The hidden species panicked, finding their control slipping. They attempted attacks, but each failed as the human's presence and decisions influenced every outcome. Every heartbeat counted. The human could feel the rhythm of events, each pulse corresponding to a new development. Fear, hope, aggression, and cooperation. Everything moved like threads in the human's awareness. They understood that one wrong step could undo everything. Both hearts worked to balance strategy and empathy, caution and action. The first major confrontation came near an isolated system. The hidden species had concentrated ships and weapons there. The human moved forward, alone at first, commanding no fleet, giving no orders. Their presence alone caused hesitation. The enemy expected fear. Instead, they found determination and a rhythm they could not read. The second heart pulsed strongly, interacting with their energy in ways instruments could not measure. Weapons misfired, ships malfunctioned, and the enemy's advantage disappeared. The human realized then that the second heart was not just a guide, but a key to influencing systems and events on a scale previously unimaginable. The enemy attempted direct negotiation, hoping to bargain or manipulate. The human listened but did not yield. They spoke calmly, revealing truths about the enemy's manipulations, lies, and secret wars. Every word carried weight because it was supported by presence and the pulse of the second heart. The enemy faltered, realizing that force and deception no longer worked. They had underestimated a being with two hearts, capable of perceiving both action and consequence simultaneously. The human understood that restraint was as powerful as aggression, clarity as powerful as secrecy. Days passed. Conflict continued, but it shifted from violence to exposure. Entire fleets returned to their governments, unable to act in fear. Weapons were dismantled or abandoned. Diplomats negotiated openly, knowing lies would be revealed. The human moved among them, neither ruler nor observer, but a living measure of balance. Both hearts beat in synchronized rhythm, guiding perception, intuition, and courage. Fear remained, but it was tempered with understanding. The galaxy slowly adjusted to a new reality, one the human had begun to shape. The hidden species attempted a final act of desperation, a concentrated strike on a populated world. The human intervened directly, moving between ships, fleets, and systems, orchestrating events through insight and presence. The strike was stopped without mass casualties. Weapons were neutralized, not through destruction, but through timing and positioning, guided by awareness. The human's human heart raced with danger, while the second heart held steady, ensuring clarity in action. Every life saved reinforced the balance. In the aftermath, the galaxy paused. Leaders convened. Councils rebuilt. The human was no longer just a symbol. They had become an agent of balance, able to influence without dominating, to prevent chaos without commanding. The second heart's rhythm remained a guide, teaching the human patience, empathy, and restraint. The human heart understood fear, responsibility, and strategy. Together they made the human something greater than any species could be alone. Exhausted but aware, the human finally returned to their quarters. They sat quietly, hands over both hearts, feeling the pulse of two rhythms. One carried the weight of fear and survival. The other carried focus and clarity, empathy and understanding. The galaxy had watched, waited, and been forced to act differently. The human understood that the decisions had not ended. They would never end, but for the first time, the human felt that their presence could guide the galaxy not through power or force, but through awareness and balance. The human closed their eyes, letting the dual rhythms carry them into rest, ready to face whatever the universe sent next. The human stood on the deck of the observation platform, looking out into the endless black of space. Both hearts pulsed steadily, one carrying fear, doubt, and self-preservation, the other carrying focus, understanding, and the sense of connection to everything around them. The galaxy waited, watched, and whispered through the stars. Every species that knew of them waited for a decision, for a choice that could shape history. The human felt the weight of every eye upon them, yet also felt the quiet power of the second heart, guiding and steadying. Reports of fleets, alliances, and hidden weapons arrived in a steady stream. Leaders across the galaxy debated what the human would do next. Some hoped for destruction, some for unity, and some simply waited, in fear. The human understood that any decision now could change everything. Both hearts beat in rhythm, reminding them that choice was not only about power, It was about responsibility, empathy, and the courage to act without domination. Rian approached quietly. His eyes showed concern, fatigue, and hope all at once. He said nothing, knowing words would not help. The alien strategist joined silently, their presence calm but watchful. Together, they formed a circle around the human, yet the decision lay solely with them. The human closed their eyes, listening to the two rhythms inside. Fear and caution beat in one chest. Awareness and clarity beat in the other. The galaxy's gaze pressed in, yet the human felt a strange clarity. They had survived battles, hidden enemies, and impossible situations. Now, they would face the hardest test of all. Signals from the ancient system pulsed faintly through deep space, reminding the human of what had been awakened long ago. The structures had been built to test species, to measure courage, empathy, and restraint. The human felt the pulse of the second heart resonate with the signals, strong and certain. The human realized that every action would be observed, not by one species, but by all. The choice was no longer just theirs. It belonged to the galaxy. The hidden species that had manipulated fleets and governments trembled at the human's presence. Their leaders attempted one last act of defiance, concentrating ships and weapons to threaten populated systems. The human watched, feeling fear pulse through the first heart. The second heart pulsed with understanding. The enemy expected aggression. They expected domination. Instead, the human chose restraint. They moved through the fleets, using presence, timing, and strategy to neutralize attacks without destruction. Weapons failed, ships were blocked, but lives remained intact. The galaxy watched silently as a human with two hearts decided without violence. Messages spread quickly. Allies and enemies alike witnessed a restraint, the courage, and the balance. The hidden species saw their manipulation exposed, their power broken. The human did not boast, command, or demand obedience. They acted with purpose, guided by dual rhythms, showing that strength need not equal cruelty. The galaxy began to shift. Fear turned into awareness. Suspicion turned into reconsideration. The human's decision created ripples that would not fade quickly. In the quiet moments after the confrontation, the human returned to the observation deck. They looked at the stars, feeling both hearts beat in harmony. One reflected caution, the other clarity. One feared failure, the other embraced responsibility. Together, they formed the choice that the galaxy would remember. Leaders and citizens across systems would speak of this moment for generations.
It was not a battle won by weapons or fleets.
It was a battle won by judgment, empathy, and restraint. The human understood then that power had many forms. It could destroy. It could dominate. But it could also guide, teach, and protect. The second heart pulsed softly, a steady rhythm that reminded them of balance, patience, and connection. The human heart carried memory, caution, and experience. Together, both hearts had made a decision that could influence the galaxy for centuries. The alien strategist approached, saying only that the human had done what the builders of the ancient system had hoped for. They had passed the test, not by conquering or destroying, but by choosing restraint and understanding. The human nodded, knowing the journey was not over, that challenges would continue, that choices would always be watched. But for the first time, they felt confident that the galaxy might learn something lasting, that courage and empathy could outweigh aggression and fear. Rian remained nearby, silent but proud. The human felt the connection between them, the trust and shared experience. They did not need to speak to know that the human had shown what it meant to be truly responsible with power. Across space, ships, planets, and leaders had witnessed a single human with two hearts decide without domination, without cruelty, and without fear, controlling every action. The galaxy had paused, and in that pause, balance had been restored. At the end of the day, the human sat quietly, hands resting over both hearts. One beat carried fear, responsibility, and memory. The other beat carried clarity, empathy, and focus. Together, they had decided for the galaxy. They had chosen restraint over violence, balance over domination, and truth over manipulation. The human closed their eyes, letting the dual rhythms carry them into calm, ready for whatever new challenges the universe would send, knowing that their choice had been watched, remembered, and would shape the stars forever.